All right, we are ready to go. Danny Jackson taking on Devon White, Kansas City, California. Here we go, June 14th, game 420. California won the real game 12-0. 5-6, and that's going to be a strikeout for Danny Jackson. Good way to start for Jackson as he comes up with the big strikeout, keeps the leadoff man off the bases. That'll send up Dick Schofield to shortstop. 6-11, and that's a ballpark single check. It's 1-11. That's a 19, so he will line it to short. And that is out number 2. 2 down. Here's Brian Downing. Downing, 5-5, and that's a fly to center. 3 up, 3 down. Go to the bottom of the first. California nothing. Kansas City coming to bat. Don Sutton out. Will face Wilson, Seitzer, and Brett to start the bottom of the first. Whoops, dropped my die here. Sorry about that. I know that don't want to delay any of the game. Got to get right to it. Can't have any preamble. 6-8, and that is a pop up to first, 1 away. Almost like speed strat. I was reprimanded on an earlier video that I dilly-dally too much, so we're going to get past all the dilly-dally today. See how it works out. 5-9's a strikeout, 1 away. Even put timestamps on my video when the game actually started. So we're gonna eliminate all that process. All right, it didn't go through. We're just gonna re-roll it. So no explanation needed. 2-8, and that's a ground ball to second. 3 up, 3 down. Done. History. Go to the top of the second. We have Doug DeSensei, the batter. 5-8, and that's a fly to left. 1 away. Here's George Hendrick. Doesn't matter what George Hendrick's hitting because nobody gives a crap. They just want to get to the game. So that's where we're going. 4-5, fly ball to center field, 2 down. And that'll send up Bob Boone. That's a 3-8, and that's a single for Bob Boone. First hit of the game. Finally, somebody got a hit. Boone's got to be held, or not got to be held. Joyner is up. 2-11 for Joyner is a ground ball to second, and that's going to end the inning very quickly. And quickly is the name of the game. Bottom of the second, no score. California won the real game 12-0, but you don't care about that. Here's Beniquez, 1-4, and that's a 1-5 triple. That's a single. Beniquez not held. Here's Frank White. 1-4, that's a 1-3 triple. 15's a double. Beniquez will hold at third with nobody out. Don't have time to do calculations. Got to get this game done. Here's Bo Jackson. 2-8 for Jackson. Struck him out. Second strikeout for Mr. Sutton. Here's bye-bye Balboni. 2-4, and that's a ground ball third base. 5-3 on the put out. And the runners had to hold. The ball hit to the corner. Sorry, Tim, I would say hi to you, but I don't have time for that because I was told to get to the game. So we're going to follow that wish. Here's Salazar. 3-5, struck him out, third strikeout. That's going to end the inning. And that'll bring up Danny Jackson to come out and face Darryl Miller, right fielder. 6-11, that's a ballpark single, which is a 1-11 base hit. Mark McLemore, the batter. 1-7, that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2. Would have bunted there, but I don't have time for bunting. We don't have time for strategy. We got to get going here. Here's Devon White. 6-9, that's a double. 1-11, 2 stars. Runner can't score. Second and third. 1 out. I would tell you if the infield's in or not, but I don't have time for that, so I'm going to keep going. Schofield, 5-7. 1-2 was a single. That's a 6. He lines to short. And the runners obviously have to hold. 2 down. And here's Brian Downing. Clutch situation, but I don't have time to research the clutch right now. 1-9, struck him out. Strikeout number 3. We're just rolling along as we should here in this game. Bottom of the third, no score. And that'll send up the number 9 man, Larry Owen. Owen. 1-11. That's a fly ball right field plus injury, but I don't have time for injuries today, so we're just going to keep going. He's going to say he toughs it out. Here comes Willie Wilson. 5-5, and that's a line out to second base, 2 down. And here's Kevin Seitzer. 5-8, struck him out. Strikeout number 4. So you can't say I don't respond to feedback, because I do respond to it, and I'm acting accordingly for this game. All right, so 3 innings in the books, no score. We go to the 4th. And it will be Hendrick. I'm sorry, it'll be DeSensei, not Hendrick. Hendrick comes next. 5-3. It's a ground ball pitcher, X. Have to take the time to go to the X charts, or else you can't do the game. So we have to at least do this. Let's see here. He is a 3E13 as a pitcher. 3E13. 3-14 is a G2. That's an 11, and he's an E13. And there's an 11 right there, so he boots it. That's going to be an error on Danny Jackson. And DeSensei will reach to start the inning. Sensei is at first. Here's George Hendrick. JT, I don't have time to tell you how I'm doing right now. Sorry about that. I was told to push forward as fast as I could. 1-5 as I fly to left. So I'm following the wishes of the audience. 1 away. Here's Bob Boone. 1's a wild pitch or chance for Jackson, which is wild pitch ratings of 4. That's a 20. No wild pitch. So Boone will swing it. 3-11. And that's a line out to second base, 2 down. And here's Wally Joyner. 4-7, that's a base on balls. First walk. Issued by Jackson. And that's going to bring up Miller in a clutch situation. That's a 1. Danny Jackson's a 1-4 again. No wild pitch. 2-7, and that's a ground ball to short. And that will end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Still no score. Don Sutton coming back out. All right, so I think I proved my point there. Not that I give a crap what that particular person says. I just was trying to be facetious. So now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. I did have the ceremonial first pitch, but nobody saw it because didn't have time to show it. But now we'll get back to business. Hello, JT and Bob, Tribe fan. All right, here is George Brett. 110, and that's a 1-3 triple. Leadoff triple for George Brett. For Brett, that is he had 2 triples on the real season. That's his first triple in the replay. So Brett's at third, nobody out. Infield is back. It's early. Just the fourth inning. He's not going to play in yet. 5-6 on Sutton is a ground ball shortstop X. That'll score the run because it's hit to the shortstop. 2E12. So even if he makes the play, it's still going to be an out. I mean, a run scored. 2 and a 16. We go to 2 and 16. And that's going to, doesn't matter really what it is, going to get to it. Doesn't matter if it's G1, G2, it's irrelevant. Let's see, 16. And that is a 9. And he is an E12. E12, there is no 9 there. So it's a ground ball to short. The run will score because it's hit to the middle of the infield with the infield back. So the run scores 1-0 in favor of Kansas City. Here in the bottom of the fourth. Base is clear now for Frank White. 4-8. And that is a ballpark blast. It's only a 1-3 at Royal Stadium, so just a fly to left. 2 down. And here's Bo Jackson. 5-3 for Bo Jackson is a fly ball left field X. That's going to be Hendrick in left field. He's a 4E10 in left field. 4 and 11. He should still get to that. The 4 with the 11 there should be all right. No, it's not actually. 4 and 11 is a single. He would have got to it if it was a 3, but not a 4. So that's a single. So George Hendrick being slow and pathetic, that's what you get. He's an E10. And that's a 7. So there is no 7 there, but it is going to be a base hit because he just couldn't get to the ball. And now Bo Jackson with a chance. Sutton's a -2 hole, but he's going to try for the lead. And he does not get the lead, so he holds. And here's bye-bye Balboni. 6-8, and that's a single 2 stars. So all of a sudden now first and third. First and third, nobody out, or 2 outs now, rather. So as it turned out, playing in or back didn't make any difference. Had you been playing in, they still would have scored on the single from Bo Jackson. So it all washed out in the end, I suppose. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. Clutch situation for Salazar. In the clutch, he loses 2 hits, 2-9 and 2-10. Sutton trying to get out of this. 2-12, and he does with a low max, but that's the third out of the inning, so it didn't really matter. No double play involved. We go to the fifth. It's 1-0 Kansas City. Danny Jackson. Facing McLemore, White, and Schofield. That's a 4-11, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. Salazar is a 2E16. 2 to 19, he'll get to that. The E might be a problem because that's a 17, and he is an E16. E16, there's a 17 there for a 2-base error. 2-base error on Salazar. Not what they wanted if you are Kansas City. 2-base error on your shortstop. Start the inning. Brings up Devon White. 2-7, and against the lefty, that's a strikeout. Much needed strikeout for Danny Jackson. That's strikeout number 4. And that'll bring up Dick Schofield. 5-4, and that's a fly ball center field X. We're looking at Wilson. He's a 1E1. So the only way we'll roll the D20 just to see if it's an F2 or F3 or F1 or whatever. That's a 7. So a 1 and a 7. We know he's going to get to it. It's just a matter of whether or not it is going to be enough to move a runner up. F2, it has to be to right field to move up to second base, so nothing's going to happen there. He's an E1, so the only way he makes an error on the E1 is a 17. And there is no 17, so he will make the play. 2 down. And it's going to be a clutch situation coming up here for Brian Downing. McLemore still at second base now with 2 outs. Downing against lefties is going to lose a couple hits right here, 2-5 and 2-6. That is a 6-8, and that's going to be a single to center field. So Angels have a chance to tie the game. McLemore runs at a 16, not being held as a 17. 2 outs as a 19. The single goes to center. He's a +2. It's going to be pretty much automatic. So he will score on the RBI single from Brian Downing. And we're tied at 1 apiece. Unearned run has tied the game at 1. Of course, California won the real game 12-0. Here's DeSensei. That's a 2. We're looking at a balk or pass ball on Jackson. He's got a 0 balk rating, so we're not going to have to worry about that. And DeSensei will be up. 5-6, struck him out. 5th strikeout for Danny Jackson. But the Angels tie the game on the 2-base error from Salazar at short to allow that run to score after the single from Downing. Go to the bottom of the 5th, and this is the fatigue inning for Don Sutton. He's got a number 5 right there. He'll be facing the bottom of the order, Larry Owen, Willie Wilson, and Kevin Seitzer. Owen, 3-7, struck him out. And for Sutton, that is strikeout number 5. Here's Willie Wilson. 4-7, switch hitter. Ground ball second base X McLemore at 2E22. 2 and an 18 is good. E22 and a 12. E22 and a 12. There's a 12 right there under the E22. So that's going to be an error on McLemore. So he benefited from Salazar's error, but now he gives it up himself. E4, just a 1-base error. But it puts the speedy Willie Wilson with a chance to get the lead, 3-6. It is a -2 hold for Sutton. Does not get the lead. So now here is Seitzer. 6-8, and that's going to be a single 2 stars. That'll put runners on the corners. Back come the Royals, putting the pressure on. Seitzer could go, but they'll hold him, but he won't go anywhere. They don't want to take the bat out of George Brett's hand, and you got a runner at third with 1 out, so you don't want to make that second out at second base. That's a 2. Chance again for a balk or a pass ball. He's got a 0 balk rating. Boone has a 3 pass ball rating, so it's a 0 balk, no play. Infield looking for the double play. 4-5, and that's a pop out to second. That just pretty much is just as good. You get the out without the runner advancing. Pops it out to McLemore rather. 2 down, and it's up to Juan Beniquez in the clutch situation. Beniquez against right-handers in the clutch gains a couple of hits, 3-9 and 3-11. Also 1-6 and 1-8. So he's got 4 extra hits he gets. I might have to, Kathy, because I was, like I said, I was getting some. I got some, a guy actually put a timestamp on my video when the game actually started. Heaven forbid I talk about anything other than the game at hand. All right, here is Beniquez. 1-9, and that's a walk. That'll load the bases. I really don't care what that individual said. I was just doing that to make a point. All right, here's Frank White. He loses a hit on 3-12. 6-11 is a ground ball shortstop X. We're going to Schofield. 2E12. 2 and a 16 is good all day long. The E12 and the 8 shouldn't be a problem. Nope, 15, 3, and 18 are the problems. So Schofield makes the play, and the Royals leave them loaded. So at the end of 5, we are tied at 1 apiece. Of course, the Royals claimed Bob Shirley off waivers from the Yankees. So he is on the Royals. He's in the Royals bullpen, fresh and ready to go if needed. And they need it because their bullpen's been overworked lately. Quisenberry, Farr, and John Gleaton have been overworked. So a welcome sight to see Bob Shirley in their bullpen. So we go to the top of the 6th, and it's still a 1-1 ball game. And Danny Jackson, this will be his fatigue inning number 6. I agree, life is definitely too short. And I even did my ceremonial first sip offline just so I wouldn't interrupt the flow. All right, here's George Hendrick. 4-11, that's a ground ball shortstop X. And that is Salazar. He's already made a big error last inning. Try not to repeat that this inning. That's an 8. He's a 2 and an 8. That should be fine. 2 and an 8 is a G2, no problem. That's an 11, and he is an E16. Nope, 14 and 17. He hit that 17 last time. This time an 11 is no issue. And he will make the play. 1 down. Here's Bob Boone. One thing I definitely learned after hitting the 60 mark is not to sound crass, but I really don't give a crap what anybody says. 2-6, ground ball to short. If you're not paying my bills, then I don't care. I mean, I'll listen to what you have to say, but it's not going to affect me. Here's Joyner. Let's see, 4-6, and that's going to be a ground ball shortstop X. Salazar again, 2E16. That's a 1. It's going to get through for a base hit. The 12 is not going to be a problem, but the base hit will. Joyner sneaks it past. Joyner will not be held. Here's Darryl Miller. That's a 1. Wild pitch rating on Danny Jackson is a 4. No wild pitch. So Miller will step back in. Whoa, that white die didn't make it for some reason. Let's try that again. 3-7 against the left-hander is a strikeout. So Jackson strikes him out, strikeout number 6, and he will keep endurance into the 7th. Sutton has a little bit of endurance still remaining. He had to give up a single and a walk in his fatigue inning, so he's got to make sure he that's all right, Alex. I didn't really have time in the comments to really try to make a good explanation on it, but just a shorthand, anybody with an asterisk, I figure if Strat gave an asterisk, they're worth holding regardless of whether I think they can steal a base or not. And then otherwise, I look at their advanced steal rating. If they're a D or an E, I'm definitely not holding them. A C, I might hold them. If their number here is a 20, probably means they need a 2 to get the lead. So let's look at somebody like like Wally Joyner here. He has a 16 for his lead, but he has to roll a 5 to get it. The odds of holding of that are not very good. And if you hold him on, you open up holes in the infield. And I just don't think in Strat-O-Matic. Now in real world, they'll hold him on, but this is not real world. This is Strat-O-Matic. So in Strat-O-Matic, I'm not going to hold him and open up a hole where the pound sign or the anything like that is going to open up a hole that would give up the base hit. So that's kind of the shorthand method of what I was talking about. Here's Bo Jackson. I would definitely hold him on because he's got an asterisk there. If you don't hold him on, he gets the lead automatically and starts with a 16. So that's kind of my rule of thumb is when I just eyeballing it, I go with the asterisk to hold automatically. Guys without the asterisk, it's a case-by-case situation, but most of the time I won't hold them. Sometimes I will. It just depends on the feel of the game and what's going on and if it's an important run, that sort of thing. So it's really not a one-size-fits-all answer. 6-4 is a catcher X. That's Bob Boone. He's a 1 and an E14. 1 and an 8 as a catcher. Probably some kind of pop out. Let's see. 1. Whoops, where's the catcher? Right here. 1 and an 8 is a pop out. That's a 12. He's an E14. That's kind of high. And there's a 12 right there. So that's an E1 on the catcher on a pop out. E1 on a pop out. And that was an pop out. So let's see here. Does ID? I don't think ID put all these charts on here for me. There's still some things missing off of this, so I'm going to have to go to the regular charts to get the rest of this information, because the rest of it is missing. So he sent me those charts, but everything was not included. Certain little things were missed. So we go to the pop out E1 section, and that's way down here. Catcher drops a pop-up for an error, one base error, runners advance one base. So the pop-up is considered to be in fair territory. So since he did it, Bo Jackson's going to reach first base. So it's an E2 on Bob Boone. Both teams now with 2 errors in the game. And, of course, Bo Jackson, since he has the asterisk, we're definitely going to have to hold him on. And he will be trying for the lead. He has it on a separate chart, Dr. D. Maybe I didn't print it off or something. I don't know. Maybe I didn't print all my charts off, but I'd have to find it because it's not on the charts I printed. If they're on the file, I'll print them off on a different piece of paper, but I just didn't see it. All right, 6 or 7 to get the lead. Nope, not going to get the lead. Whoops. And here is Balboni. 2-7, and that's a strikeout. And for Sutton, that is strikeout number 6. As bye-bye Balboni goes bye-bye. 1 away for Salazar. That's a 4-5, and that's a split chance. 1-4 is a single. That's a 12. He lines it to short. Schofields grabs it. 2 down. Jackson still at first. Here's Larry Owen. He's 0 for 2. That's a 1. Sutton's wild pitch number is a 7. And no wild pitch. Here's Owen. 5-10. Ballpark single check. 1 to an 11. That's a 15. So I'll keep, since it's the third out of the inning, doesn't matter. I'll keep the original result of a fly to right. And that will end the inning. So after 6 innings of play, it's 1-1 ball game. Both pitchers still hanging in there for fatigue purposes. Danny Jackson back out. He'll face McLemore, White, and Schofield. We're now in the 7th inning, which is my rule for allowing for substitutions, pinch hitting, and so forth. But right now the Angels, I think, will stick with who they've got. McLemore 3-2 against the lefty. He's going to line it right to Salazar for out number 1. So 1 down, and here comes Devon White. He's 1 for 3, 2-6, and he's going to be 1 for 4 as he grounds to short. They're giving Salazar a lot of activity. 2 down for Dick Schofield. 3-4, and that's going to be a ballpark single chance again, 1 to 11. That's a base hit for Schofield. He's got the asterisk, and he's got a 19 here, so we're definitely going to try for the lead. It would be a big deal if he can get in scoring position with 2 outs. Needs a 4 or a 5. Doesn't get it. He will hold, and here comes Brian Downing. 1-8 for Downing, and that is a base on balls. So Danny Jackson flirting with being fatigued. He's now got to face Doug DeSensei. I think 1 more base runner and he'll be fatigued. It is a clutch situation now for DeSensei. He loses a hit on 3-12. Everywhere else he is neutral. 4-7, and that's another base on balls. I think that's going to make Jackson fatigued now, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see with the computer if that confirms it for me. And it did. Danny Jackson just reached fatigue. So now coming up is George Hendrick. Jackson has gotten Hendrick 3 times in a row. So they're going to trust and see if Jackson can finish the inning. They do have newly acquired Bob Shirley in their bullpen, loosening. But right now they're going to see if Jackson can get Hendrick. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Hendrick in the clutch gains 1 hit, 2-2. Everywhere else he's neutral. Bases loaded, 2 outs. All this started with 2 outs and the bases empty, and a single and 2 walks have put Jackson in a bind. 2-8, and he gets out of it. Hendrick lines it right to Kevin Seitzer to end the inning. And so Jackson now will finish up with 7 innings. We'll cap him at 7 innings since he reached his fatigue number. And it may be Shirley, it may be somebody else coming out. We'll see what the run situation is in the ball game. But right now we hit the 7th inning stretch. And oddly enough, the line score is identical. 1 run, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Angels. 1 run, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Royals. So 6 hits and a run by Danny Jackson, which was unearned because of the error on Salazar. He ends up walking 3 and striking out 6. So an excellent outing for Danny Jackson. If the Royals take the lead this inning, he could qualify for the win. Otherwise, he gets a no decision. Sutton back out. He's on the verge of fatigue as well. And so they have a left-hander in the bullpen, Chuck Finley. Chuck Finley is loosening in their bullpen. He has not pitched in a while, so he needs to pitch. So Chuck Finley. In fact, we're going to go ahead and cap Sutton here because he's already surpassed that 1 inning. He only goes to a 5, so I got him 6 innings. That's probably as much as they're going to ask of him. He goes 6 innings, gives up 6 hits and a run. His was earned. And let's see, he walks 1 and strikes out 6. So both pitchers pitch very, very well. Sutton has nothing to show for it. He's going to have a no decision one way or the other. Chuck Finley is your new pitcher for the Angels. He's a -2, and so that makes him a -5 on the hold. And he'll be facing the top of the order, switch right and left. So kind of not really much of an advantage there, one way or the other. So we go to the bullpen to get Chuck Finley, and we'll get his numbers for you, both the replay numbers and his real world numbers. Finley in the real season, 2-7 with no saves and a 4.67 ERA. On the replay, 2-4 with 1 save and a 3.43 earned run average. 42 innings pitched, 40 hits, 16 walks, 29 strikeouts. And now Finley. Yeah, I'm not sure if I might have to ask ID where he put it, or I might just make it myself. A little side thing for myself. It's only a few things that weren't on there, so all right, here is Willie Wilson. 5'9". This time he's against a lefty. So 5'9", facing a righty. Fly ball to left field. George Hendrick is there. Wilson is retired. Here is Kevin Seitzer. That's a 6-6, and that's going to be a base on balls. First walk, obviously, by Finley. Seitzer could try to get the lead, but if you get the lead, it's a 15 here, and you take away 2 for being held, makes him a 13. That -5 makes him an 8, so it really doesn't make any sense for him to try to get the lead, because if you get the lead, you got to go. So I think in this case, it's smarter to just leave him there. They will hold him on, will the Angels, but they're not going to. Royals aren't going to try anything. Here's Brett, lefty on lefty, 2-7, 1-19 single, 1 star. That's going to put runners at first and second. 1 out for Juan Beniquez. We got a 4-12, and that's a ground ball first base C. Joyner ranges, gets it, flips to Finley covering, and both runners move up 90 feet. Second and third, 2 down. Clutch situation coming up for Frank White, the venerable one, in the clutch against lefties. Loses a hit on 3-12. Everywhere else, he appears to be neutral. That's a 2. Balker pass ball. Finley's balk rating. We got to go to the computer for that because the cards don't have it. His wild pitch is a 9, but his balk's a 13, so that could come up big. And that's exactly what we're looking for, is a balk. If he balks 1 to 13, the run's going to score. And he does. It's a balk, and that will score the run. The Royals get a go-ahead run on a balk by Chuck Finley. So that'll score the run, make it 2-1, put Brett at third base. Frank White still up in a clutch situation. 4-7, and that's going to be a single 1-8. That's a 13, so he lines it to Schofield to end the inning. But a very important run just came through on that balk. And now Danny Jackson would qualify to be the winner if the Royals hold the lead. Now the question is, what do you do if you're Kansas City? Do you trust Bob Shirley to come in when you got a 2-1 lead, or do you go more for your standard reliables, or at least guys you think are reliable, like a Steve Farr or a Dan Quisenberry? They're going to go with Steve Farr. So it won't be Bob Shirley. It will be Steve Farr, right-hander Steve Farr. He's going to come on, try to save this ball game. Got to go 2 innings to do it. They could always go to Quisenberry if they had to as well. All right, it's going to be Boone, Joyner, and Miller, but they may pinch hit for Boone here. Miller's the backup catcher. They can move him from right field to catcher. So let's look at the bench. There are some left-handed options. You got Jack Howell, and you got Rupert Jones. Those are probably the 2 best options. And you got Mark Ryle. All 3 are good options to pinch hit. But I believe they're going to go to, well, Jack Howell and Rupert Jones have the exact same average. But what we're going to do is we're going to use Rupert Jones, and Jones will stay in the game to play right field. So we'll make him right field here for Jones. And then Miller will go from right field to catching. So Jones will pinch hit here in the 8th and play right field in the 8th. So Rupert Jones is your pinch hitter for Bob Boone. Boone was 0 for 3. Was 1 for 3 in the game. But they are going for the left-handed option, which is Rupert Jones. That's the advantage when you face a lefty starter, is you sit your lefties on the bench and you got them ready and available to pinch hit in clutch situations against right-handed relievers. So here is sometimes they are Dr. D, but not for the usually for the guys. Well, it depends. Like somebody like I think Bo Jackson might be a perfect example. He's only got 1 number to get the lead, so sometimes it's hard to get that number. So yeah, his stolen bases are down a bit by using that philosophy. All right, so here's Rupert Jones. Rupert Jones against Steve Farr. 3-8 for Rupert, and he grounds to second base. 1 away, and he'll stay in the game to play right field. Here's Wally Joyner, Wally World. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. .59, and that's going to be a strikeout for Steve Farr. 2 down. And that brings us to Darryl Miller, who will now switch from right field to catching. 4-7, and that's a 1-14 single. That's a 12. So Darryl Miller, base hit. And here's a perfect example, Alex, that you were referring to. This guy's got a 20, but he's an E-stealer. I'm not going to hold him. He's got to roll a 2 to get the lead. The odds of him rolling a 2 are not very good. And in trying to roll for 2, he could get a 1 on the D20 and get picked off. So Darryl Miller, I'm not going to blink one eye. There's no way in the world we're holding him here. No way. So it's not going to, even though he's got a 20 there, because you have to roll a 2 to get the lead. And that's just not going to happen hardly ever. So hello, Fast Action. Good to see you. All right, here's McLemore now. 2-1 Kansas City, top of the 8th, 2 outs. Miller at first, not being held. And McLemore, your batter. 1-6 for McLemore, and that's a fly to center, and that'll end the inning. So Farr gets through the 8th. Still has to negotiate the 9th to get out of it. Finley will stay in the game, and he'll face Bo Jackson. See, he's only got a 6 or a 7 to get a lead. Sometimes those 6 or 7s just don't come up as much as you would like, so he doesn't get the lead. It doesn't steal as much. All right, so McLemore ended the inning by flying to center, and now we got Bo Nose. Oh, the computer's making me make these changes, so let me do this real quick. Miller will now go from right field to catching, and Rupert Jones will stay in the game after pinch hitting and be in right field. All right, here's Jackson. 3-5 against the lefty. That's a home run, 1-4, but that's a 9. He'll settle with a double. So Bo gets the double. And that'll send up bye-bye Balboni. Finley to Balboni. 3-3. That's a line out right to second base. But Bo gets back in time. Not getting doubled off. 1 away for Angel Salazar. That's a 3-8 for Salazar. Ground ball to short. That will hold Bo at second base. Now there's 2 away. And normally I would pinch hit for Larry Owen, but he's a good defensive catcher, and you've got the lead. So we're going to keep Larry Owen in the running and have him bat. Clutch situation. That's a 1 on Finley. And he's already balked. Walked in a run last inning. His wild pitch rating is a 9. And no wild pitch this time around. So here's Owen. He's got some ballpark blast on his card. In the clutch, though, he loses a hit, 3-10. 4-5, and that's a walk for Finley. That'll put runners at first and second. And Willie Wilson is up. And now the California bullpen is stirring. But they've got the 2 right-handers, Minton and Bice, I think have been overused. Double check the computer. I don't want to run those guys in the ground. No, actually, Minton's okay. They're going to give Finley Willie Wilson. If he can't get Willie Wilson before they face Seitzer, they'd bring in Minton. But they're going to try to get, hello, RN. They're going to try to get Willie Wilson out in the clutch. In the clutch, he loses a hit in several places, 2-8, 1-12, 3-8, and 3-9. So he loses 4 hits in the clutch against lefties. That's a 110. Ballpark single check, 1-11. 16, that fails. It's going to be a ground ball to short. And that will end the inning. So except for the balk, Finley did his job. Unfortunately, the balk brought him the run. And we go to the top of the 9th with a 2-1 Kansas City lead. And Steve Farr trying to finish the job. Finley goes 2 innings. The balk is an earned run, so we count that as an earned run. Gives up 1, 2 hits, walks 2, and strikes out no one. So Farr will be facing the top of the order, White, Schofield, and Downing. Could pinch hit for Schofield. In fact, that almost seems certain to pinch hit for Schofield. So lefty off the bench, we're looking at Jack Howell to pinch hit for Schofield. So we're going to have Devon White, Jack Howell, and then Brian Downing. That is the order for the top of the 9th. First things first, Devon White with good speed, trying to get on base. 5-8, switch hitter batting left is a strikeout. Steve Farr with the K. And now we bring in Jack Howell into the ball game and also on the computer. So we'll get Howell's numbers. If anybody gets on base, they can pinch run with Gary Pettis because he can fly. So he's loosening in the dugout, hoping that somebody reaches. He's doing some little sprints in the along the outfield wall trying to get loose in case he's needed for pinch running. Jack Howell hitting 275 on the replay, 8 homers, 23 driven in. He hit 245 real world. But he does have a couple of ballpark blasts, so he's capable of tying the game with one swing of the bat. 4-5, and he's going to strike out. Steve Farr says, I don't care who you bring up. We're going to strike him out. So now it's down to this. Brian Downing, last hope for the Angels. Brian Downing can reach. They would definitely bring in Pettis to run because Downing doesn't run very well. 6-8. And 6-8 is going to be a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Salazar. He's already made one big error here. Salazar 2E16 to end the game. 2-2. That's going to get through for a base hit. That's guaranteed. 2-2 is a base hit. 2-2 is a single. That's an 8. And he is an E16 at short. There is no 8 there, but it's a base hit. And now coming into pinch run is Gary Pettis. He will run for Downing. If it goes extra innings, he'll stay in the game as the DH. So a single for Downing. And then we bring in Gary Pettis to run. Computer is telling me Steve Farr is tired. I don't really understand that one, unless it's cumulative. Let's see here. Bring in Gary Pettis to run and see what he can do as far as getting a lead. See what Gary Pettis has done base path wise. Look at his numbers. In the real season, he stole 24 bases, caught 5 times. In the replay, he's stolen 8 bases, caught twice. So we go get Gary Pettis and check out his chances to get a lead. 5 or a 6 gets him the lead. Now, Farr is a +5 hold. So the Royals may go to the bullpen here for Dan Quisenberry, and they will because Farr was showing is tired. So they're going to go get Quisenberry and see if Quisenberry can finish the game. What that will also do, oh, shoot, had circles in the sand there for a second. Hope it's not going to mess up on me. So that 0 now makes him a -1 because Farr before was a +4. But now we have Quisenberry. He's going to come on, and they're hoping that his 0 hold factor with the -1 will help kind of keep Gary Pettis a little bit closer. But Gary Pettis is going to try for the lead. First things first, we got to bring in Quisenberry from the Royal bullpen. So Steve Farr wasn't able to finish the deal, so they turn it over to the Quiz. And Quisenberry on the replay is 4-2 with 3 saves and a 4.13 ERA. In the actual season, he was 4-1 with 8 saves and a 276. So Pettis trying for the lead. Pettis trying for the lead. Does not get the lead. Very lead because you subtract 4 from that. That'd make that a 9, and then the -1 making an 8. That would be really ridiculous to do that. But he is a 17 speed, so he does run well. And they do have to hold him on, so that will open up a hole perhaps. But he can't get the lead. So now the Sensei is up. 111 for the Sensei. He flies to right. Barry gets the save. And that will be his 4th of the season. Just 1/3 of an inning, faced the 1 batter, and that was it. So how about that? In a real game, and the game was 12-0. Real world ends 2-1 in favor of Kansas City. Steve Farr goes an inning and 2/3, and Danny Jackson actually gets the win. He improves to 6-3. Loss goes to Finley. We'll go to the box score and get all the totals and set you up for tomorrow's game, which will not be quite as fast-paced as this one is. In fact, I might intentionally go slower just to tick somebody off. Let's see here. Might be a 2-hour game tomorrow for all I know. All right, so it's 2-8-2 for 8-2 for the Angels. Finley with the loss drops to 2-5 on the replay. Farr with the win, with the hold, is his 5th. I don't really keep track of holds. 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. So there you have it. I'm not sure who you give the player of the game to, but because the winning run came in on a balk. So I don't know if you give it to Brett. Maybe he had a triple and a single, so he factored in certainly a lot. Could give it to Danny Jackson for his start. We'll give it to the old man Brett. How about that? Just to be nostalgic. We'll give it to the old man George Brett. He'll get the player of the game. All right, Dutch, you take care. So as we look ahead to tomorrow's game, Friday's game, we will be in the great state of Texas. It's the Oakland A's taking on the Texas Rangers. Game number 421. It'll be Charlie Huff for the Rangers against Eric Plunk for the Oakland A's. Oakland A's holding a lead right now, and the fact that Kansas City just beat California, their lead just increased. So Oakland was very happy with this result. Because of this result, the Angels now drop to 4.5 games back in the American League West. And if Oakland wins this game, they'll get a 5-game lead. And, of course, Kansas City with the win has temporarily pulled to within 8 games of first place, but they're still mired in 5th place. There's a 3-way logjam in for third place. The Twins, White Sox, and Royals all within 1 game of each other, a couple games back of the Angels. Kathy, hope you had some good coffee today, hopefully. RN, Fast Action, Alex, Dr. D, Tim, Tribe Fan, Bob Marrow, JT Dutch, all you guys. Hope you had a great day today. Hopefully we'll be back to our normally paced broadcast tomorrow. Just felt like early on I had to do something to make a point. Don't know if I made the point or not, or whether the point needed to be made or not, but I did it anyway, just for the heck of it. And that's going to do it from here. So Royals win it 2-1 over the Angels. Jackson the winner. Finley the loser. Quisenberry picking up save number 4 on the replay. Tomorrow again we'll be in Texas, where Oakland takes on the Texas Rangers. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.